Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about NodeJS projects and how to deploy them. So I didn't really go over this, but now is able to accept three kinds of things. It can accept a static site, which is what we did last time, which is just HTML, CSS, JavaScript, just like the basic sort of files. And it can, if what you're pushing up is a Node.js project, it can see there's a package.json, then it's just going to automatically run that for you. So you don't need to worry about what kind of Linux machine is on, what kind of version of Node.js is on. Like, none of that matters. If you just have a Node.js project you're pushing up, it knows how to deal with that. And then you can look up like what version of Node Zeit is supporting, and they usually support a pretty high version, so it's usually not a big deal. And then the third kind is like if it sees a Docker file, it's going to make a container for you. So what we see in front of us is just a really simple Express app. Nothing really too magical here. This is just like the super basic thing I copied and pasted from this site. And if we do, well, let's go to our package.json. I don't have a start script yet, so I'm going to do scripts. And I'm going to say start is node dot. Okay, so let's just check this out. So I'm going to do oh yes, okay. I was waiting for, I usually have something like this. Listening on 3000. Okay, there we go. So it's going, let's just check this out. Local 3000. Hello world, wonderful. So it's getting that endpoint. Let's just do another endpoint really quick. Let's change this to JSON just to make it a little bit more realistic. Endpoint. And let's just do that. Okay, restart my server here. Okay, let's check this out. It's gonna give me spelled endpoint wrong, that's fine. And okay, awesome. So we got two different endpoints. So it's sort of resembling a functioning real sort of API. Okay, now we want to push this up to now. And this would represent just like a backend or an API. And then we would push up our front end, on a separate sort of case. And then the front end would talk to our backend through hitting its URL. And I think maybe at the end of this series, I'll go over some like more realistic or practical ways to spin up multiple things with Zeit now. But for now, this is sort of like a API backend or service that we're doing. So let's just do this. So we'll type now. Okay. Oh, this is so sweet. So if it's like installing and you go to the URL it gives you, it shows you what it's doing right in the browser, which is so cool. So what it did is it took a look at the package.json, it did an npm install to install everything, and then it did the start command right here. So there we go. So now this is live, and I have, that's not a proper thing. And so I have these different endpoints, and this is like deployed, and any front end could reference this URL here with Axios or whatever and make use of it. So this is sweet. This is really awesome. So a few different things that I want to make mention of. If we didn't have a start command, if I just had like start dev, of course this would, I wouldn't be able to, I'd have to do start dev like this. And now it's running. So if I did now, it's going to be like, oh, I don't see a start command or a now start command, which we'll talk about in a second. And so it's just not going to do its thing because it's assuming that those things are in place, so that it's going to look at your package.json, install everything, and then run npm start. So you need to have a start. But what if it's like, so I use this tool called NodeMon, which is, if I do yarn start, which means it's going to like reset itself every time I make a change. So if I do home, you can see how it changes. We don't want that in production because we're not developing in production. We just run it once and it's just running. And also I don't have NodeMon installed as a dependency here. So I wouldn't even know how to, actually let's do that. So, oh, what do I do? Okay, yeah, so let's just try to push this up. See what happens. It's actually going to take a little bit because it's got to install everything. Going to San Francisco 1, and then it's going to try to run this command, and you can see all these errors here. That's because it doesn't know what NodeMon is. We haven't told it to install it in our dependencies. If we did, it probably would work, but we wouldn't want to do that anyways because that's a dev thing. So, okay, so it's erroring out. It doesn't know what to do. Let's just cancel this thing. But I actually want this for development. So what we can do is do something called now start. So now I can do my normal thing where I do yarn start and then it's going to run NodeMon. But if I do, if I deploy it, it's going to catch on that there is something called now start. And so it's going to run that rather than run our normal start command. So let's check this out. Silent. Okay, awesome. If I had some video editing software, I would like fast forward that part, but I don't, unfortunately. Okay, awesome. So let's check this out. Looks like it's working and it's updated because it has that home. And then if we go to books, it's going to work. And so this is great. So now we have our start command for ourselves when we develop, and then we have a start command dedicated to a now deployment that it's going to pick up on this rather than this, which is great. Okay, so this is really good. If I was, let's try this thing out. In the last video, I mentioned that if the code is exactly the same, it's not going to deploy a different URL. Let's see if I was correct. Yeah, so it is correct when you are talking about Node.js deployments. So I didn't change anything. I typed now. It just spits me back the exact same thing because there's no point in starting a whole new deployment because it's the exact same code. So anyways, great. In the next videos, we're going to talk about, like there's a few missing pieces here. So we want to alias it to a proper domain name, which we'll look at in the future after our Docker deployment. We also want to put in environment variables. That's very common for a Node.js project. So lots of stuff to talk about, and we'll go over that stuff in the future. But for now, This is basically what you do for a Node.js project. Really simple, really quick, and really awesome for just getting things out the door and testing them and showing developers and then actually deploying to production as well. So anyways, in the next video, we are going to look at a Docker container. So we'll see you in the next one.